All right. Morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a great week. Here to give it's Grow with Joe here to give you more lessons on how to live life or improve your finances. Today's lesson is going to be about the power of brokerage account. So I'm a big fan of having a brokerage account because uh, anything that can give you more flexibility and control over your life is a good thing. When we have more options as people, then we're less likely to get stuck in a situation that we don't want to be in. And that's what a brokerage account can do. So typically you have your Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs. That's something people know about. And then you also, people have their 401ks at work, 457s, 403bs. But those accounts at work, those employer sponsored plans, are retirement accounts. They're supposed to be used in retirement and not supposed to be used before. And so opening up a brokerage account can really be beneficial just to give you more options. Because let's say I tell my clients, hey, we're going to start up this brokerage account, and down the line, it's going to give you more options. So if you put $100 in this account, and in 30 years, let's just say it's $60,000, but you don't want to pull money from your retirement account. Hey, you have this other bucket of funds that you can pull from. But let's just say you're able to, just to make the math easy, bring up your brokerage account up to $100,000, and let's say you're getting a 5% return on that, so you're getting $5,000 a year off of that. Off the interest of that brokerage account. Hey, and then you could use that $5,000 for other things. Let's just say, hey, you want to do a bathroom remodel. It's going to cost you $10,000. Instead of pulling $10,000 from that brokerage account, what you can do is you can get a loan that's using that account as collateral. Let's say you do two years. So $5,000 is about $416 a month. And if you get a loan for 2 years, a personal loan, say your interest rate is 4%, it's probably going to pay that over 2 years, $10,000. Yeah, it's going to be like $600 a month and everything. But like the more your brokerage account gets, let's say it's getting 7%, you're paying 4% on your interest rate. You pay the loan over 3 years. You can come out ahead with the brokerage account, come up a little bit ahead, and also pay for your bathroom remodel without taking money from your cash flow. So that can just give you an extra $10,000 you could use for something else. You could use it for, I don't know, there's other, like you could take that money if you have kids, buy to your children's education, but you can still fund your children's education. You can still get that kitchen remodel that you want, or do something else to help you with your life, to just give you more flexibility and control. If you're a business owner and you want to make this investment, you'd be like, hey, I want to make this investment over here. I don't want to pull it from cash. I want to finance it. And then there's some special things you could do. If you finance it, then that interest that you pay is tax deductible, so you don't have to bear the full cost of that interest. And then you could apply this cash somewhere else and everything, and to help you with more opportunities. This is a balance. You don't want to like overextend yourself on credit. You want to make sure that your things are under control. If you can borrow up to 100% of your 100,000, like let's say you can borrow up to 80% of your $100,000, you borrow against it, and then that doesn't give you much wiggle room down the road. Say you need extra cash and everything, so you need to look at the scenario and just see like, okay, what is the best way I can use this money to my leverage? And this is what people do when they buy a mortgage. They if they buy a house that's worth $300,000, most people are not paying $300,000. They're using leverage, so they're going to borrow, let's just say $250,000. There's $50,000 in equity, and in 10 years they sell that home for $350,000. Mortgages, let's say 225. So because of you pay like the mortgage, you got the interest. You made like let's just say you made a $50,000 profit, and it's because of that leverage. That's what's really helped you that make helped you out in that scenario where you made $50,000. Is that the right $50,000 to make? Could you have done something else where you invest that $50,000, still rent out someplace else? It all depends. You just got to look at the numbers. I have a spreadsheet that I use with clients that says, okay, here's the cash outflows, like here's the down payment, here's all the expenses, here's what you received from the home. Also, another thing to consider is your time spent, and then we can just look at the numbers, and the spreadsheet tells you, oh, you made money off of this. It would have been better if you invested in this thing over here. Yeah, it all depends. Shorter time frames versus long time frames, like keep for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. You just got to look at the scenarios. And what I like to say is, hey, let's look at 3 different scenarios. Let's look at a best case scenario, and let's look at a worst case scenario, and let's look at the middle of the road. Like what I say, worst case scenario is like, hey, what is the minimum I have to make this a good scenario? What do I have to do to make it worth it? Best case scenario is like, hey, I'm getting this type of return. Middle of the road would be like, okay, this is fine and everything. But yeah, just by realizing what is a good deal, what is not a good deal. But to help you get those good deals, you need to have options, and having multiple accounts. Like you want your emergency fund, you just want enough cash in there to help you with emergencies and short-term obligations. But like money in the savings account is not outpacing inflation. So there needs to be other strategies for extra cash. Having the brokerage account, that gives you the ability to borrow against it. You could use that down the road and everything. Or you could just take the money out. You do pay capital gains on that. It could be zero capital gains if you're in the 12% bracket or lower. Most people are going to pay 15%. Highest tax bracket, that's typically if you make over half $500,000, you pay 20%. So you can use that as tax arbitrage to take advantage of your tax situations down the road. But you need to have this as an account. So you can go to a lot of different places, like Betterment, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, TD Ameritrade, and you can open up a brokerage account. Most of them you can open up for, I think at Betterment, you can open a brokerage account as low as like $5 a month or $25 a contribution. And the key thing is you don't have to be great to get started. You just have to get started to become great. And by funding your 401k, if you have a Roth 401k, it's best to do that first most of the times versus a Roth IRA, because you get the company match. For most cases, it all depends on the scenario and everything. And plus, you can also contribute up to $19,000. If it's $19,000 or $19,500, I gotta double check that, but it's something around that number where you can contribute to a Roth IRA. But the key thing is, by the time you're 65 years old, and let's say you have $200,000 in your taxable account, you have $500,000 in your 401k, you have another $500,000 in IRA. Let's just say that's just the case, and you have like $25,000 in your emergency fund. You're going to be able to handle a lot of stuff. And let's say you have your insurance in place, you have your wills in place, you have your advanced medical directives, you have a good tax plan, good tax strategy. That could save you a lot of money, save you a lot of time, and just solve a lot of problems. Instead of having a year-long problem, now you have a 5-minute problem. And that's what life is about. is having 5-minute problems, because we're all going to have problems. But the key thing is we want to have champagne problems. We don't want to have problems that are not champagne. Yeah, it's just like, oh, what I got to do about these taxes, or oh, what I got to do about like with this money left over. That's a much better problem to have than like, oh, what do I do about not having enough money? And that's the reason why I'm doing this, is because like my parents are 2 blue collar workers, and I saw that, hey, money can be stressful, but they could have made a lot better moves if they had someone to teach them. And it's a lot different now in 2020 than it was in 1990, because of the internet, the access to information and everything, access to financial services. You could do a lot. You don't have to go into a bank anymore. You don't have to go into an office, fill out paperwork. You could all do it electronically now, and hopefully that's changing things for the better for society. And the next generation hopefully can take advantage of this and just know the language of money and know how to take advantage of life, so life doesn't take advantage of us. And that's just live your best life. Don't be miserable. But to not be miserable, you just need to have control over your mind, control over your finances, control over your body, just as much control over the situation as possible. Some things you realize like you don't have control over, so you just have to let them go and just be like, hey, I gotta let this play out. And that's just what today's lesson is about. Try to get control over your situation by having flexibility, having options, like, hey, if I want to pivot out of this situation, I can do so. And that's it for today. But the key thing is, start a brokerage account. If you have questions, please do your research or consult a professional before you make any changes with your financial plan. If you want to work with a professional like myself, I'm currently accepting new clients. You could just go to growwithjoe.me/start here, and you can set up a complimentary discovery meeting with myself to go over your financial situation real quick. So, yeah, I'll be here tomorrow to talk about something financial planning related. But yeah, key thing is you don't have to be great to get started. You just have to get started to become great. And if you have any questions, just leave a comment. Don't forget to check out my podcast, Your Daily Cup of Joe. It's on Spotify, Apple Music. Give you more daily lessons on your commutes, or when you're just doing the laundry or something. And so, hope you enjoyed today's lesson. And just remember, if you go with Joe, you can grow with Joe, because Joe knows dough. All right, take care.